Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It is something that affects many of us or those you know. And I'm going to say, in this day, you know somebody or you're dealing with one of these two things. I'm going to go there. I'm going to say it. Anxiety and depression. It's so huge. I feel it's escalated since COVID. It's a big thing for a lot of us. How can we deal with it? What can we do to minimize both or change our lives in a more positive direction? We're going to talk with somebody to get insight on that. And she is kind of the head of some of the finest healers on the planet that help with that and so many other things. And she is all part of Kate's Holistic Healing. And Kate Blecher is with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. And yourself?
Fantastic. I took a me day recently. I don't do that a lot. And what a difference it made in terms of just feeling better. And I'm bringing that up because I don't think a lot of us do it. And that's why there's maybe escalated anxiety and depression. What are your thoughts?
Oh, exactly. People don't take nearly as good care of themselves as we should. I mean, we really have to put ourselves first. And I'm so proud of you for taking a me day, because then when you come back, you're so much more motivated and efficient. It's like you didn't take the time off.
Yeah, fresh. And, I take time off, not a lot at all, but it's for another reason, like move my son up to college or go up to a college day. There was travel involved in that. All good, not fantastic, good bonding and everything, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me just, getting in a kayak, going to an desolated island and just floating and just thinking and listening to birds. I was talking to birds, I'm not going to lie. I really was.
Well, that's wonderful.
And it's great.
I
need to take the time. Why do you feel that more of us are dealing with anxiety and depression? And why does it seem that it escalated after COVID?
Yeah, COVID was a big instigator of it. It just threw so many people's lives out of whack. And then everybody getting more into the social media. And so social graces kind of fell by the wayside. And now people are just, we're divided politically, we're divided on our beliefs as a country, and I don't have to list them all, but there's a lot of things that are causing people such strife. And so a lot of the clients that come to see us, that are their two main reasons, anxiety or depression. And we have many ways of helping people with them, which are, you don't have to spend years and years in psychotherapy. We have other methods,
which we'll get to. We're definitely gonna go there. Why is anxiety and depression often connected?
It's pretty much where you stand in a mental state. If you're spiraling down and you're in a low vibrational mode, you feel anxious about the future, you feel depressed about your past. You're not focusing on the here and now. And but they do frequently go together. And they also go together with physical pain, because frequently people in physical pain get depressed and then anxious if it's going to get worse. So
that was a game changer for me. And I don't believe I had anxiety. I'm taking that back. I did have some anxiety from time to time, worrying about things that didn't support, things that could happen. Not so much depression, but the game changer for me, and I'm bringing this up to illustrate your point, in that somebody said to me a number of years ago, why are you always living in the past and the future? I'm not kidding. Why don't you live in the now? And I don't even know. I it took me a couple of weeks to process it. I don't know what you're talking about. And then when I realized it, it was just like, oh, it took me quite some time to figure it out and live in the now. Doesn't mean you ignore the past, excuse me, or you ignore the future. It's on your radar, but it doesn't encompass your whole life. And when you think about it, no matter what's going on, if you slice this second right here, that's it.
Right.
Everything's great. It's like if there's no worries. Once you're able to do that. And I find that when you get in that mindset where you're living more in the now, the things that are coming up in the future, you don't worry about them so much. Things in the past, yeah, there's that, we can't forget our past, but it doesn't weigh heavy. It's just like, yeah, that happened then. Okay, back to now. Um,
Right.
Again, it's not easy in my estimation to do it, but once you do, whoa, game changer, game changer. What was your reality check for living in the now?
Well, I just know that when I start to feel worse, more depressed, more anxious, more sad, I stop it and I think, what am I thinking about? And I try to focus on it and then try to talk myself out of it. But on the other hand, you can go and do something physical. And my angels tell me things like get up and twirl. And for some reason, it makes you smile. And you just do jumping jacks, do something fun. And it really does change your mindset just to move your body 2-3 minutes
Hmm.
doing something different.
It's a good thing you bring up. Once you get moving, you get moving.
Right.
It's amazing. And I realize this the older I get. Sometimes I'm still like, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing anything. Then I'll start doing something. It's like, oh, wow, just came back to life. Even cleaning, like on a Saturday or Sunday, I'll
Right.
clean. I got a couple of cats, dog, got his hair and vacuuming and whatever. Um, I look at it more positive now because I crank up music. It just, I could be alone. I'm doing it by myself and I make it fun. And then once you're moving, you want to move more and you want to move more. But it takes sometimes to get the inertia. Sometimes it takes a little push. Sometimes this is the only thing that's going to push it forward.
Exactly. You really, yeah. I have it is if you put on music, you can get so much more done physically around the house.
Sure.
You can't do, you know, thinking work, but you can get a lot of chores done, and that's important.
Well, you know what? I do feel you can do some thinking work depending on what you're listening to and if it's just low in the background. Because sometimes I'll get in a rhythm and I'm just listening and I don't even know I'm listening to it. I'm like, oh, wow, this is moving a little faster than I thought and it's a little
Right.
more fun than I thought. Um, but let's talk about music. What is it? It's a vibration. What are we? We are vibration because all of us are energy. What's energy?
Mhm.
Vibration. So I believe that's why it helps us heal, motivates us, gives us comfort. Um, I'll listen sometimes to music. I don't even know what they're saying. It's in another language. I think it's cool. Like, say,
Right.
called world music. Well, okay. Because now I'm not focusing on the lyrics. I'm just focusing on the energy the artist put into it, and the music that goes along, the beats, everything that goes along with it. And that's why there's sound healing, where I don't know if that's
Yes.
one of the modalities that you offer, um, but I don't want to minimize all they're doing, but they're playing a gong, cymbals, tuning fork, and
Right.
it's vibrating at a certain frequency, and that's healing people, right?
Hmm. It really does. And people can also, you can change your vibration with healing sounds, but you can also change it yourself if you learn how to focus on it. And I know that somebody explained to me once, she was a colonel in the army, and she said, if you're ever really, really afraid, reach for anger because it's a higher vibrational emotion and it will help you in your thinking process and you'll deal better with whatever is frightening you.
Wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Well, how about some of the modalities that your team offers to help people with anxiety and depression?
Well, one very good way to deal with anxiety is to find out. I mean, I've been in therapy for many years, and it was a girlfriend who finally asked me one day, "What is it that you're afraid of happening?" And I had never thought about that. I was just always nervous. And I thought about it and I said, I don't know. I feel like I have to run for my life, like I'm being chased by wild animals and men with spears or something. And, she looked at me like I was a little crazy. And I said, but that's what it feels like. And then I did a past life regression. And I went to the life that caused me my anxiety. And I was a young female in a big field in like not prehistoric times, but a long time, long ago. And in the field in front of me was this great big tiger. And it was going to attack me, and I was laying on the ground, and I put my hands up to keep its teeth away from my throat. And I was pulling, but I was just getting hair and it wasn't doing any good. And then I died, and I went into the beautiful world that we experience after we die. And when I came out of trance, I realized that I lived on the 13th floor on East 65th Street. The chance of a tiger escaping the zoo, not hurting anyone, coming and finding me is insignificant. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to be attacked by a tiger. And I don't have any reason to be afraid. And I went from taking 14 Xanaxes a day down to 5 in a couple of months because I just didn't need it anymore. And I no longer was afraid.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this was from a past life regression?
Yes, it's doing a past life regression.
Out of all modalities, that's the one I haven't done.
Oh.
Just never got to it. And I believe I've done all, if not most of them. That's the only one. And I am so intrigued. There's I believe in it. And before you had it, did you have feelings within that took you back to that time? But you always wondered why you would think about that time?
Right. I did. And, the great outdoors, being young, being alone. Yeah, I was afraid of that.
Um, and you didn't share that with the person that did the regression, did you?
Oh, well, it was hypnotherapy, so we were talking to each other during the
Oh,
whole thing.
gotcha.
She was
Okay.
asking me questions and I was giving
Hmm.
her answers.
So I'll quick to back some of this up just very quickly. I have an affinity for the 1800s. I don't know what it is. I love the period, right? Mid 1800s where there was photography, so you can really see what was going on, but not a lot of technology, simple way of life. I'm blown away of how they made clothes back then. I could look at pictures for hours from the 1800s, like the detail. It looks just as good as the stuff today. And we have machines and all of that. How did they do that? So that's always been my affinity. I had somebody do a genealogy, just tracing back my roots. I found out that I was through a DNA test. I'm Lithuanian. I didn't even know I was. I had no idea. On my father's side, didn't have a close connection with my father's family. Turns out, and I haven't done a past life regression yet. Turns out that my father's father's father came from Lithuania, and in the 1800s, he was a tailor, and he worked his butt off and was able to move his family to New York, and was able to buy a place for them to be and live. because of the work he did as a tailor. And I never said anything to anybody, and that's what came back. So I'm thinking I was there. I can't wait to do a regression.
Oh, you were definitely there. And it was probably you, the tailor, in that life.
I didn't even think of that. Wow. You know, I and I've heard stories too that people have done past life regressions where um they didn't disclose to anybody anything and were told, well, okay, yeah, 1700s, you were shot in the back. And then he said, this is somebody that told me through another person, he's always had pain in the center of his back and could never figure it out. And just a
Yes.
mark in the middle of his back. And like, I don't know what that was. I always have a pain back there. And I've been to doctors. They never come up with an answer. And that's what the person, without knowing, came back with a past life regression. All right, how do you do that? Like for anybody that doesn't believe it, skeptic, how do you do that? I don't know.
But I mean, I know that I'd had a past life as an American Indian. I was riding a horse. I got shot in the back with an arrow. And that has been the cause of my lifelong back pain. And I do not doubt it for a second.
Seriously?
No, seriously.
Wow. So why does that stuff continue? Like they say, a lot of what we do in life, um, karmically, we're paying for it. Like in another life, there'll be, karma
Right.
to be not paid for, but dealt with, a lesson to be learned. How do you end the cycle? Okay, so let's say you were shot in the back, centuries ago, and you're
Mhm.
here now. Even with that information, and I'm not a doctor. I don't know, any of that. How do you remedy that, or do you? It just is what it is.
I guess you come to accept it. Well, that's what
Mm.
I've done.
Okay.
And it's just a part of who I am. And I've learned the right ways to sit and to move that I don't exacerbate my back. And it's not like I haven't done traditional medicine and had 4 operations on my back and things, but it is, I mean, I know what caused it, and it just makes me feel a lot better, you know.
All right. So an answer, at least you can say that's what it is. That's what I'm dealing with.
Right.
Hmm. Wow.
Exactly. Rather than try to blame it on something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Kate, what about some of the other modalities that can help people through that you offer anxiety and depression?
Okay, well, we also offer like something like depression, which, I don't think it gets the attention it deserves because people that are sick go into the hospital and they get all this attention, but they're never usually as feeling as bad as when they're depressed. I mean, I've suffered from both, and nothing hurts as much as depression. And people rarely commit suicide over physical pain. So
Hmm.
depression really is one of the worst things a person can deal with. And one good thing to do is to get to know your depression. And you can also do this with meditation. Um, you can go into a trance and imagine yourself in a pretty field, and you come to a table with 2 chairs, and you sit down in one, and then you find out where in your body, do you hold most of your depression. Then take this little circle, put it around that, and then put your depression on the chair facing you. And start asking it questions like, what is its job? What is it doing for you? What does it want you to do for it? How can you make it lessen? And as you're doing this, I've had so many clients that were just astonished that, oh, I see, it's helping me out. It's making me focus on this instead of that. And when you get these answers and you realize, like pain, it's not bad. It shows we're still alive and we're still communicating with ourselves. And so it doesn't have to be as big a negative once you know that there are positives to it as well. And I've seen a lot of people's depression just get so much better.
Interesting. It's almost as if you're treating it like a friend or a relationship.
Exactly. And that's what
Wow.
you want to do. You want to get to know it.
They
And why
say
it's
you should even do that with money. You know, if you have trouble with abundance, invite money over for dinner. Set a place
right.
for it. I know it sounds cheesy, like ridiculous, but then you have a conversation with it. You know, how come you're not showing up more? What's going on here? You might realize things in treating it like it's, human, if you will. And I've often heard too that just to your point, Kate, when it comes to different challenges that we have, they say you can give it a color, you can give it a name, just so you can identify when it shows up, as opposed to just this thing that's jumbled in your mind. I think I'm depressed. Maybe I'm not. No, I am. So it has an identity. That's where I'm going with it.
Right.
Hmm.
It does. And you get to know it, and you can go to a psychiatrist and talk about it, but you get a lot more information if it's just you talking to your anxiety and answering its questions,
Yeah.
if it has any.
Let's be honest. Nobody knows you better than you.
Exactly.
But sometimes we need that insight, like you just gave. I never even thought of that. The two chair situation.
Right.
Um, when somebody is looking for help through your organization, Kate's Holistic Healing, how does that work? Do they reach out to you? Do you find, provider that works for them? How does that work?
Right. They reach out to me at the company, and on our website we list all our different healers and their schedules and what they specialize in. And then people can just make appointments or they can call. And after they and talk to me, then talk to the person that they choose to heal, I can walk them through the different modalities and what might help them. But yeah, so they should, the first thing they should do is go to our website, katesholistichealing.com, or they can call us at 917-863-0857. But if they wanted to try something like a past life regression or talking to their depression, they can go to kateblecher.com, and I have 18 meditations recorded that they can listen to, and they'll be put into a trance and they can go in and experience their own past lives.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes.
I didn't know that we could do that on our own.
Oh, certainly. You just have to find a quiet place where you can not be interrupted for half an hour, find a comfortable place to lay down,
Oh, cool.
and pay attention to what's being said and try not to let your mind wander. And it's a wonderful experience.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely going to check it out. That's on your website?
Yes.
katesholistichealing.com. Do I have that right?
Right. And the meditations are on kateblecher.com, because that's where I have my books, and the meditations go with the Angel's Guide to Happiness and Prosperity.
Love the way that sounds, by the way.
Thank you.
Blecher, by the way, Blecher. So kateblecher.com. Kate, thank you for the insight today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, wonderful. And I know we had an internet connection issue last time. Sounded great, looked great. I want to be in your kitchen. I want to be in your backyard. It looks so peaceful. Seriously.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Wonderful. We'll catch up again soon.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're coming right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the mytuner-radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.